So, as I was talking about yesterday, I got a many requests about the food and the sleep. So, how to manage those two in this time that we're going through. So, one of the thing about the body, if we look at from our system, is that as I said about cortisol, that overrides our dopamine, and because of that, our body start to store more fat rather than using it, and so it kind of disrupts your insulin system, and then that's what makes our body to trigger of either getting caffeines or quick food and or heavy food. So all of those are the reactions of the stimulations that we need, or at least our system thinks that we need it. So how we gonna change that is now we have to create a challenge that we want to say, okay, can I accept this challenge and see if I can go through it. So it's like we are trying to create our own dopamine effect. Like we wanted to create our own risk and reward of how to work with it. First of all, let's cut as much fat as possible from our daily food category, including those nuts that we snack it, right? So try to avoid it as much as possible. I mean, I know that it's not the easiest thing to do, but do your best to avoid fat, period. That way, if we don't provide the body the fat, your brain's gonna get crazy. I'm like, hey, I need to store this. But then you will have to say to yourself, like, okay, that means I am already coming to the point of being overstressed. My body is already changing the mechanics of using my rhythmic system to like a adrenaline releasing cortisol, and it's like a kind of a going to outside of my normal boundary. And that's something you wanted to be aware of. Then the second thing is try to have as much fruit as possible, at least the first part of the day. So let's say up to noon, you wanted to just rely on as much of a fruit as possible. There's the two things that really helps with the fruit. One is it gives you a sugar, which is actually you can use it for your liver, because it will actually enjoy having a sugar more than a fat. Fat actually it has to stress it, versus the healthy sugar, at least like the fruit sugar, it can support the system of liver. And excuse me. Second thing is you wanted to also avoid having unnecessary carbohydrate in your dinner. So you have the time of 12 to 3 o'clock to have a certain amount of a carbohydrate in your diet. And in the evening, if you really need to, you can have some lean meat, but I would lean on to fish. And if you're really aware of it, I would rather lean on the beans and lentils, and then use some leafy vegetables as my dinner. That way, you will be able to create a cycle where you actually replenish all of the stress that you are trying to, your body is trying to manage. You are at least using your nutritional system to support that. That's one way to look at it. Second is sleep. Sadly, there's no exact an idea to say like, oh, this is how you're going to be able to sleep, unless you take a sleeping pill and or some stimulations. Like somebody could take a CBD oils, or somebody could take some high dose of melatonin. Those are all things are helpful in this time to sleep. But the trouble is when the mind is in a running state, we are not going to go into our deep sleep and a REM sleep. The rapid eye movement and a deep sleep, we tend to always stay in a lighter sleep. So if you have to wake up to pee or something, then it's really hard to go back to sleep again. So how we can manage this is you have to find a time, particularly after your exercise to lie down, if you can. So all you got to do is find a bolster or something to prop up under your leg, under your knee, and then find something to roll under your head, so that once those two areas is soft, it kind of relaxes your whole the central nervous system. And then put some calm music, some whatever you need to, and then just to put some kind of a cover in your eyes and just lay down. You might not be able to fall asleep, but you might be surprised how quickly your body goes into reset. So try to do that at least right after your exercises, but try to do that at least in the afternoon, particularly after your lunch. That way, even though you might not have a good sleep at night, but knowing that you already have some rest allows your brain to say oh man, I haven't had good sleep, so how am I going to work with this? So it doesn't produce unnecessary anxiety. Then the other part is, I know in the northern hemisphere, we actually had a snow yesterday, so we're still in a cold time. But if you are awake, try to not look at your phones or any news. If you can, try to get out, walk around, and then look at the star if it's possible. And just it's okay, because you have to say to yourself that, I guess we have to make a mindset of we're in quarantine, we're hibernating. So it doesn't necessarily have to have I need to have an 8-hour sleep. I need to be able to slow down. So even if I get a 6-hour sleep, I will replenish that by sleeping in the afternoon or resting one way or the other, instead of supplementing by the caffeine or caffeinated stuff. So give it a try, work with it, and I will talk a little more in details about how to work with the sleep cycle and with your exercises on the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.